Yeah, I mean, I've known about it for a long time, but I never had a good source of it. So now we have it. Like, it's hard to get. It's expensive. So we finally have like a really good source from New Zealand, from all organic, pastured, like grass-fed animals who aren't killed for the velvet. We have like finally like a really good thing. So.
Now, can you when the antler falls off the deer, can anything be?
It's no good then.
It's no good then. It's got to be that you need.
It has to be taken at a very specific time. It's like an extremely specific time, because if you let the antler grow completely, it hardens and it can't be used. And so you let it fall off naturally, it's like a bone at that point. It's got no use as a supplement. So it has to be taken off the animal while there's at a certain stage of development before the tip of it becomes pointy. It's like a fist-shaped thing, and they have to like basically amputate it.
So I'm sure a lot of this stuff is getting thrown away by all the deer hunters in the U.S., right?
Well, because they can't see. You can only hunt when? In the fall. So in order to get it, if you wanted to go wild harvest it, you'd have to poach. This is the challenge. So it can only be in the past it was only taken by killing animals before they've actually mated, which if you're into harvesting sustainably is hard to do, because you don't want to be killing off male deer before the mating season. You want to wait till after the mating season. So so the deer farms of New Zealand are the place to get it. Basically.
That's holy shit. Oh, and that's why it's so expensive. You have to ship it from New Zealand.
Yeah, well, it's expensive because it's a dangerous procedure too, and if you don't do it well, you can kill your animal. And these farmers, if they kill their animals, I mean that's their livelihood, so they have to be really careful. And then there's so little produced, in the world, because like you don't get a lot off of the animal. And even if you can buy cheap ones or you can buy domestic ones, but they're not made from the tips. They're made from the whole antler. So you end up taking the really strong part and cutting it in with a whole bunch of weak stuff. So if you want the really good stuff, it's just the antler tips, which means you only get a few centimeters of the good material off each animal. So the amount that you need is it's a lot if you want to get something really strong,
Now, is it like if you take Viagra, you get an erection no matter what? Is it like that, or no? You have to still be sexually aroused.
When you have no, it's not like you just get an erection. Although there are herbs that do that, but yeah, it's more like when you're at your A game and your penis feels like it's always partially swelled with blood, and you're walking around, your balls are hanging, and you feel like you're you know what I mean? You're you're ready to go at any moment.
Yeah,
it's more like that.
God damn!
It peaks out your hormone production.
And so when
this is actually where we want to be anyway.
So is there any negative side effects? Has anyone documented anything that negative happened?
None. And that's what's amazing about it, because there's stuff there are herbs that work really well. Like yohimbe is one of my favorite herbs for that. That's like Viagra. That's more powerful than Viagra, but it has some kind of weird side effects too. So, there's herbs that work, but then you definitely have a side effect. This is a tonic, which means you can take it every day the rest of your life. Something can't be called a tonic if it slowly over time does something negative to you, then it's medicinal but not tonic. So for it to be a tonic, it has to continuously tonify you, and deer antler does that. Just like
well, so when you release this at the thing, people just went crazy, huh?
Yeah, we had 100 paying guests there, and I sold 52 bottles, which means we ran out. That's why.
Good God.
But oh yeah, and we have two different price points. We have an $80 bottle and a $150 bottle.
Yeah.
And I mean, people just were all over it. And then, like I said, Wolf, the next day said, "Hey, overnight me 24 bottles of it to my next lecture. I want to have it at my next lecture." It's as good as it gets. I mean, it really is. There's only there's lots of amazing herbs, and then there's the top 10 or 20, and then out of that there's really the top few that are if you're going to only be on a couple, here's what they are. And the Chinese said after a 5,000 to 7,000 year old herbal medical system.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you consider what they did, they created Tai Chi, they created Qigong, they created acupuncture, they created acupressure, they created all of Kung Fu, they created Chinese herbalism, they created that whole entire system of Chinese medicine that took 5,000 years to evolve, right? They created the whole thing, masterful thing based on the elements, they had created a whole nutrition program, everything they created. And at the end of 5,000 years of that evolution, they said, okay, we figured out the top 3 things that you should take, and they are ginseng, reishi, and deer antler.
Wow. Cool, yeah, because you know what's funny is that this would do really well at Expo East, or one of the,
Yeah. Well, it might. It's like,
because there was a company selling the same thing, but it was like it wasn't deer antler, but like a Viagra like thing to take.
It definitely is something that takes some client education, because it's like if you go to the health food store, something at that price point is like, it doesn't do well if it's just sitting on a shelf. It has to be explained. People need to understand it, and they need to hear like a little bit of the science on it, and they need to hear a little bit about the legend and lore of it for it to really appeal to them. But once you hear it, it's wicked obvious. I mean, if you understand that any kind of mammal, their hormones are going to be bioactive in your body, and so if you were going to take if you wanted to build your sexuality, you'd want to find an animal that was at the peak of its sexuality, and that would be a stag.
Yeah.
Getting ready for a giant mating and fighting session. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's like that's obvious, but it's like people don't think that way anymore. They think on a chemical level, but they don't think really like that. So,
wow. What is it? It's $150 a bottle.
Well, we have two. We have one called Immortal Velvet Silver and one called Gold. And the silver one is standardized to 45 micrograms of IGF-1 per bottle. That's just like a marker indicator molecule. It's got 24 growth factors, but that's just one that a lot of people in the industry know, so we standardize it to that one. We could have standardized it to any of them, but we standardized it to that one because it's just a marker molecule that doctors understand and clinicians understand and bodybuilders understand. So anyway, we have that one. It's at 45 micrograms per 80, and then we have the other one is at 150. It's got 100 micrograms, so it's like a little bit better of a deal, and it's way stronger. It's definitely, the dose is pretty crazy.
Wait, so the first one's 80?
Yeah, silver is 80.
Is 80.
45 micrograms, and then the gold is 150, and that's 100 micrograms. So you're getting, for slightly less money, you're getting a little over twice the dose.